churchyards and parish records to Suffolk, secure in the knowledge that they are in the right place. Like the Cloughs and the Lockwoods, the British and Irish ancestors of most North Americans left their homeland at some time in the 400 years since the Mayflower departed Plymouth, England, on 6 September 1620. This is a long time in the history of modern America, but only an instant in genetic terms. In this book, I look back to earlier centuries and earlier millennia, to the time when your ancestors' ancestors were part of the rich mixture of peoples, Saxons, Vikings, and Celts among them, who colonized and lived in Britain and Ireland over the preceding 12,000 years. My only hope is that, should you be tempted to probe deeper into your own genetic ancestry, your reaction to the results will be less extreme than Wilma's from Oklahoma. Bryan Sykes, Oxford, August 2006. The UK edition is published under the alternative title Blood of the Isles. Prologue. This is the very first book to be written about the genetic history of Britain and Ireland, using DNA as its main source of information. It is the culmination of an ambition, almost a dream, that I first had 10 years ago. Having successfully used DNA to solve several outstanding issues about the human past on a continental scale, I wanted to push the method to its limits and dissect the intimate genetic makeup of a smaller region. And where better to do this than in my own backyard, so to speak, my own country, one that I share with 60 million others, and with an even greater number whose roots are here, but who now live overseas. And what a land it is, full of myth and legend, brimming with archaeological treasures, and set down in a rich treasury of historical documents. For its new scientific content, Saxons, Vikings, and Celts relies primarily on the results of a systematic DNA survey that I and my research team in Oxford University have undertaken over the last 10 years, a survey involving more than 10,000 volunteers from every part of the Isles. The results, explained in the book, exceeded even my most optimistic expectations of the power of genetics to make a real contribution to our knowledge of a small region. In Saxons, Vikings, and Celts, I approach the DNA evidence in the same way as others who write about the past using their different specialties: material artifacts, written documents, human remains, and so on. The most important thing about the genetic evidence is that it is entirely independent of these other sources. It does not rely on them. However, to use genetics most effectively to fill in any picture of the past, it helps immensely to have this abundance of other evidence, and I use this resource throughout the book. Nevertheless, when you have read Saxons, Vikings, and Celts, I hope you will agree that from now on genetics can take its proper place alongside history and archaeology as one of the principal lenses through which to view the past. I have written 2 other books on DNA and human evolution, The 7 Daughters of Eve and Adam's Curse. You may have read them, but I certainly do not assume that you have. You don't need to in order to follow the story of Saxons, Vikings, and Celts perfectly well. However, there are some topics which are covered more extensively in the earlier books than they are here, but which to repeat here in full would be unnecessary. I have deliberately avoided, as far as possible, putting technical data into the text. A little is absolutely essential, but too much soon disrupts the flow. For those readers who want to delve more deeply into the supporting scientific evidence, and for real enthusiasts, I am publishing additional material on the website www.bloodoftheisles.net. Finally, a word about the title. I use the Isles rather than Britain or UK to avoid the pitfalls that follow from political boundaries much more recently drawn from the time depth covered by this book. Many in Ireland